Hi, this is Jim Janossy, and we're going to be talking about Chapter 18 at this point. I happen to be making this preview on a very hot summer day in July 2010. So I'm sitting here in an apartment with no air conditioning, and I'm just making these little previews in between running to the refrigerator and putting my head in the icebox and loading up on ice cubes in all sorts of places. Now, Chapter 18 is very interesting. It talks about a period of time after the Renaissance. During this period of time, the Renaissance masters have either died off or are dying off. And artists at this time are having a really tough time following that act. It's a very tough act to follow. It's a period that's sometimes called mannerism. What you're going to see here is novel kinds of things. In fact, one of the kinds of things you'll see is a window that looks like it's a mouth, kind of a garish-looking mouth that's wide open. Very novel. I don't think you'd want to see it perpetuated as an architectural form, but it probably made a name for the architect at that time. We also have Palladio playing with Roman and Greek artistic forms and architectural forms, and comes up with a house called the Villa Rotonda, which is on every one of the four sides like a Greek temple, and a dome in the middle. Not very practical as far as a house, but, and again, sometimes architects don't have to come up with things that are practical. They come up with things that are kind of interesting. We also have an example of Parmigianino, an artist who came up with some distinctively different picturings of the Virgin Mary and various other figures in the background. We have Tintoretto coming up with artwork that is composed in a different way than Renaissance artists would have had it. And we also have Domenicos Theotokopoulos, otherwise known as El Greco, coming up with some very interesting and very different art in Spain. He was so far removed from the center of the Renaissance that his art wasn't challenged by patrons of the arts at that point. Later on, it seemed a little bit strange, the colors and the shapes and what he was trying to picture. So his manner of expression kind of outdistanced his time. Then we come to an interesting event, a very momentous event, the Protestant Reformation, that has the effect of changing the whole picture for art, not to make a pun, but changing the whole picture for the artist scene in Northern Europe where the Protestant Reformation took hold. And basically what we have happening is a very significant change in the way art is created and what it's used to picture, because in Protestant churches, art was not used anymore to decorate the church. So the whole business of doing altarpieces and various other types of artwork that artists had been trained for was thrown out the window. And artists sought other avenues for their skills, and it started off actually with portrait painting. So you'll see some examples in this chapter of portrait painting, which leads into other genres of art. And there's an illustration that I've given you in association with this unit that shows you the development of various genres of art after the kind of church art that was typical of Roman Catholic churches was no longer used in Protestant churches, starting in around 1520. So this is a very interesting chapter. Take a look at it. It's very important as a transition from the Renaissance to the eras that came later.